Hello, Warrior TV. Steve Knapp, the Mindset Warrior, and Tessa Spanenberg, the Resilient Warrior, jumping in for episode 2 of Empower You. How are you going, Tessa?
Great. Loving it. Loving life at the moment. It's just so much happening. Yeah.
Grouse. I love that.
Yeah. How's things been your side?
Even though we can break world records for lockdowns, we're still loving life. That's what it's all about. That's
absolutely. It's mindset, right?
100%.
Above the line thinking. We are not letting things that happen externally change our internal worlds, I guess. Hey.
Exactly. What a perfect segue.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been really resilient and worked on our mindsets through this lockdown because it's been so hard. You know, it's been so different. It's been challenging and long. Hey?
So long. Like every time. What I remember seeing at the start of our 6th lockdown, a comment that said, the hardest part about a 7-day lockdown in Melbourne's the first 3 weeks. And I thought that just makes so much sense. Every time we have a snap lockdown, it goes for months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if you can laugh about it, there's a bit of gold in that, I think. Just how we can so I suppose, well, as we said to everyone last week, our topic today is going to be a lot around above the line, below the line thinking and how that draws us into the cause and effect equation, and a lot about how our thoughts and the way we perceive the world is how it's going to sort of reflect back on us, and what it's going to give us or not give us, I suppose, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I love this above the line and below the line model because it's such so simple, but it's so powerful. And I heard it explained so nicely, like above the line thinking, we'll explain and we'll get more into that. And below the line thinking, we'll get into that. But the line that's in the middle is actually the choices that you make, the choice where you want to play or where you want to play. And it's so important in our everyday lives, Steve, and just the decisions that we've made. Like the little thing that we were just talking about is the lockdown, and how you can feel sometimes so disempowering, like so stuck, because you feel you're stuck at home. So your physical reality keeps you stuck at home, but you need to watch that your mindset doesn't get stuck as well.
So true. So true. And I think the beauty of when you learn how to master staying above the line a lot, in times like this, you will easily notice when you slip below, and it makes it a lot easier to make those quick little adjustments to snap back out of it and realize that it is just the story that you're running in your own mind as to what's going on and why you're in that sort of space. Really, it's tricky at the start, especially if you're a long way below the line. Like, why not just share a way to start off before we even get into what it is? I remember going back probably 5 years or so, I was that far below the line. I couldn't even see it. I was that deep buried in the mud and sludge of my thoughts and my life that I was that far away from the line. You wouldn't have thought I was ever going to get back above it.
You didn't even know there was a line.
Didn't even know there was a line. Didn't know the line existed back then. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I just knew something wasn't right. And a lot of it, and you do tend to get the realization that a lot of what's not right in your world is coming from you. And it's not, once you get that acceptance that it's not anything external that's causing your problems and your reality, and you dig a bit more inwardly and see what's going on in your own mind, that's when the light bulb goes off, and you can sort of start finding that reality to be moving in a better direction that's healthier for you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It covers all bases.
It does. But it's so hard, Steve. I mean, how do you, when you're in so much, what's the word, darkness, when you're in so much denial, like, because you don't think it's you, right? It is you against the world at that moment. Like, what is the change or the trigger that switches on the light to say, hey, there's one common denominator here, and it's me, actually. How do you get to that acceptance? That is, I think, the important thing when we say, oh crap, actually, it's me. How does that happen?
Yeah, everything good, everything bad, everything in between. There's only one common denominator in every part of our story, and it's us. There's never anything else apart from just us. All right, we've got Adam's jumped on saying they're tuning in from the supermarket again. This is brilliant. The supermarket must be knowing us by now.
Yeah, share the link with the supermarket people.
Yeah. And I reckon the secret, once you do realise that you're at the centre of it all, for me personally, I found really reaching out and finding mentors that are very experienced in the space and can be a bit of a guide to help you through a lot of that baggage and what's going on. That made a world of difference for me. I think trying to battle through on your own and just wing it, you'll have little wins here and there, but the losses will still pile up. It's really embracing people that have got that knowledge that can guide you through and help you sort of make steps in the right direction without having to make some rapid, crazy improvement, but just a gradual, nice little ease into it. And if you fall down, they're going to have the answers to pick you back up and tell you where you're going wrong and what you can help you with. That was massive for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, I went through a similar experience where I just wasn't happy. It was like, I changed the situation, I changed the scenario, and I ended up still not being happy. And I was like, what's going on here? That was the aha moment for me, because it was like, okay, so I'm changing jobs because I'm not happy in this job. I'm changing countries because I need more excitement. I'm, taking this course because I need something different. And then it was like, so you've done all these things and you still don't feel happy. What's going on? That was like an aha moment for me. It was, okay, so we need to look at the common denominator, which it's hard to accept and hard to recognize at first, but if you want change, like I wanted change, so that's why I was trying different things to see what would work, but I was looking for it in the external, external, and until I realized, actually, hey, it's me. And I did the same thing, Steve. I got a coach, I got a mentor, and I was like, I seem to be stuck, and I feel this, I have so much, there's a lot that I should be grateful about, and I'm not. There's just this irky feeling. What is it? Like, I think it must actually be me. There's something happening.
Yeah, and it's hard to come to that realization, and it's hard to accept it, especially if you've been below the line for so long. Because obviously, to touch on a bit of what happens when you're below the line, you're generally in a space of blame. So if you don't like your job, it's your boss is an asshole, you're getting crappy conditions, it's never your fault. There's always excuses, like if you're late for work, it was the traffic, it was the red lights, wasn't that you didn't leave early enough, and you're always trying to justify. So you're always justifying why you've done something right, wrong, indifferent, and you just get stuck. You get stuck in that space for so long, and it builds on top of itself. The more you condition yourself to blame, the more you're going to do it. The more you come up with excuses, the more you're going to do it, and you'll get to the point where you end up believing your own excuses, and you get that caught up in your own rubbish and bullshit that you can't even see that there's anything different or you're even doing something wrong. You just get stuck there, and it's a horrible space to be in for a long period of time.
Exactly. And look, we are not saying if things are really not going well at work, that you shouldn't look at other options, but you should really just investigate what's happening. And if, like what Steve and I are talking about, is it you or is it really fundamentally the company? Because then when you change, are you experiencing something different? Are you happier? Are you in a better space, or was it actually just you? And those are the things to look out for, because we can become aware and we can learn, it's patterns that we have. It's patterns. And like Steve was saying, blame, excuses, being the victim, because that's what we can be so good at. Like, it's never me, it's never my fault. It's always the other person or the other thing or there's always a victim, and the victim is always like me. I'm never wrong, So that's when we really know we are below the line, and we like how we reacting to the situation should give us clues. So we should look for those clues. Yeah,
100%, because it really, and it doesn't just stop there. Like, you'll generally find below the line, you're always in a space of, I don't have any time to do anything. I don't have any money. Like, if someone says, do you want to do this? It's always, can't afford it. Whereas an above the line thinkers, okay, I really want to do that. How am I going to afford it? Not just can't put it straight that way. And it's always, and then I don't have any energy. I'm so tired. And all these easy things, you'll get overwhelmed, you'll be closed off, you'll be defensive, and you even get to the
responsibility.
You're so committed to being right that you'll just keep trying to prove your point to no matter whatever detriment. And tying a bit back into what we said last week, a lot of the time when you're below the line, you're intentionally supporting those poor limiting beliefs that you've got attached to yourself, that you're just going to keep drawing back on, that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, no one loves me. And that's really going to feed on your psyche a lot more when you're below the line, because as we know, a negative thought really, really projects itself onto us much greater than a negative one. So it's worth being aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is why we started last week with beliefs. So if you didn't catch the beliefs, go back and just see if you've got anything that's holding you back. And like we want you to dig deep and to say, is that true? Am I really, a failure? Do I make mistakes all the time? Because when you start, because that's what you then say, and then when you have this fear of I'm a failure, I'm making mistakes, those are your beliefs. So then when you go below the line, you're always justifying that, oh, it wasn't me, I didn't make that mistake. You don't take responsibility because you're blaming, because you're so afraid.
It was their fault.
It was their fault, exactly, because you don't want to be found out that because you have this belief that I'm a mistake, or I make mistakes, I'm a failure. So you feel like, oh, no one should find out that I'm actually a failure. But actually, is that belief true? It's not true. It's not true. So you don't have to justify it. You don't have to protect it, and you don't have to blame others.
So true.
But that's what we do. That's what we do when we're living below the line. The thought patterns are below the line. The belief, the limiting beliefs, keep giving us more evidence that hide, be you're the victim. You're the victim, and you don't have to stay in that space.
No, not at all. Because when we look at the other side with the people that are living above the line, it's a total different thing. You're taking ownership. So if you make a mistake, I made a mistake. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm going to learn from it so I don't repeat it, and I'm going to improve on that action. Then you're being accountable. You're taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. You're not just trying to push that blame and things across everyone, and you're not feeling the shame and guilt that you do when you're below the line, because you've owned it. You've gone, yep. Because guess what, guys? We make mistakes and stuff things up all the bloody time, every single day. There's not one person here, won't be one person watching that doesn't make mistakes all the time. But it's how we respond to those mistakes and what we learn from them that sets us in good stead moving forward. We can, pull back and just say it was someone else's fault, or, I'm just useless, like support those limiting beliefs. Or we just go, yep, I stuffed that up. Have a laugh about it. Go, as long as it's not something super serious, have a laugh and go, shit, look what I've done.
Yeah.
Oh, well, can't be helped. It's happened now. It's in the past. Like, leave it there and then just learn the hell out of it. Fail fast, fail forward, and just keep learning. And then just own it.
Own it. Exactly. Own it. And question those beliefs that want to hold you back, that want to, keep you like below the line. Because remember, last week we spoke about that negativity bias, where our brain will hang on to the negativity because it's so used to thousands and thousands of years scanning for the, the saber-toothed tiger or the predator. And so any change we make that we feel a little afraid of making this change, our brain is going to say, hey, what's going on here? That's not something we know. We want to keep you safe. So challenge those beliefs. Like you surely have loads of things you have done right. So you're not a failure. We all make mistakes, but we do so much more right. And find the little things, like the little things that can support new beliefs. Find little things. Like how did you start, Steve? So how did your coach or your mentor take you through that process to change those beliefs? Because it's not an easy process, but you have to stick with it, right?
You do. And I found, for me personally, the number one thing was being in the present moment. So much of our problems are because we're always looking in that rearview mirror and reliving past traumas, pains, mistakes, errors, just so we can back up our beliefs around those things. Whereas being in the present, it takes away that pain of the depression of always remembering the bad. It stops you getting anxious because you're looking too far forward, wondering what's going to go wrong next, what's going to happen. So I think being totally immersed in the present was massive, absolutely massive, I found. And of course the self-talk around it. Once you start just living in the present, that was where I could move to above the line and take so much ownership, because in all my years of depression, I was, like I said earlier, I was that far below the line, and 90% of it was shame, guilt, just always rehashing things and going, oh, you dickhead, what a mistake. That was just so dumb. How could you do that? And then moving away from that and moving forward, it was getting back to that ownership and going, yeah, I stuffed up. Who cares? It's going to happen again and again. Once you got that realization of where things are at, and that we have a tendency as humans to blow things massively out of proportion. So if something goes a little bit wrong, it can ruin our day to the extent of things you don't even want to bear thinking about. And it's just not necessary.
Yeah, there's a great, I think there's a great word, catastrophizing. How do they say it? Like you make a catastrophe out of everything. Yeah, that is so true. We distort the truth, or we distort a situation. Yeah.
And it's so common. And it makes sense that so many of us, like, we'll get into a bit of the law of cause and effect shortly, but basically, if you're living at cause, you're above the line. If you're living at effect, you're below the line. And the horrible statistic for most, 80% of the population is constantly living below the line and at effect, not at cause. And that's
massive.
When you know which side's the good side and which side's the bad side, to know that 80% means if you're a family of 5, 4 people in your family aren't living at cause. And that obviously puts strains on your relationships, your money, everything evolving around a family, because if you're always having that point of blame and justification and lack of ownership, and it's happening with each other, it's just constantly going to build and build and fester, and it gets pretty ugly.
Yeah, and you're teaching your kids that. You're teaching
100%.
other family members because they're learning from you. Yeah, that's so powerful, Steve. Like the one thing that I was taught, and it really gave me an aha moment, because we're often so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves, and we have this inner critic that just yaps, and just breaks our self-esteem. And the coach that I had, because I was going on my rant, and she was like, wow, you are being so unkind to yourself. You are being so hard on yourself. Are you like that with your friends? Do you judge them so harshly?
Exactly.
You know, would you say all those things to Steve? Like, I was like, no, I would never. Yeah. And that was a big realization for me, how unkind we can be to ourselves and how hard we judge ourselves. One little mistake and it's like the sky's falling, or one little mistake and we ruminate, we keep thinking about that over and over and over and over, instead of saying, because if it was your friend, you would say, oh, it wasn't so bad, let it go. Oh, that your presentation wasn't that bad. You know, there's room for improvement, but there were good points in it, you know, give constructive feedback. But we don't. When we're talking about ourselves or to ourselves, it's just, oh, I'm a failure, presentation sucks, no one likes me. Yeah.
I love it. We've got a question come through from Adam. He said, a question, Steve just said relationships with family and that, but do you believe relationships should start with ourselves? 100%.
Absolutely. Because once you get the relationship with yourself in a good space, and I believe it will shine outward, and people will want to be around you and they'll learn from you. So if you're kind to yourself and you show others that, yeah, you know, like Steve said earlier, I made a mistake. I'm going to do better. I'm going to get over it. I'm going to fail fast and fail forward and move forward, because we learn from our mistakes. We don't have to keep living in the past and dredging them up all the time. Once you've learned, you move forward, and you have to learn to forgive yourself. I think that is something we don't do well, and that's what also keeps us below the line, because we don't forgive ourselves. And forgiving yourself and forgiving others is a daily work in progress, right? It's not the easiest thing. Like most things in life, you've got to work at it. And so when you have a good relationship with yourself, you can forgive yourself, because that's how you would treat your friend. That's how you would treat a family member, you know, kindly 100%. And giving them another chance.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Like, no mistake we make is fatal. Well, obviously 99.9% aren't fatal. So there's always a tipping point that you can come back from. Is always. And that's where above the line, great English, Steve. That's where above the line and below the line comes in so much, because it's got to be, everything starts with us. That's what this model is all about. Yeah. Nothing external is the be all and end all to how our day pans out. It's all internal. Everything is an inside job. Absolutely everything. You can't be affected by the external world and have an outwardly loving relationship with everybody else, because if you're always drawing in what's around you, most of it's negative, and you can't suck all that in and portray positive all the time. It's just not, it's not realistic. Whereas if you're totally comfortable in yourself and you know that everything you're doing's for the greater good and you're ecological, and you make decisions based not just on if it's good for you, but if it's good for my family, good for my friends, good for the environment, good for the planet. When you're coming from that space and you know it, then you're projecting outwards what needs to be there.
It's such a beautiful space to work from. And you touched on something earlier when you said, like, when you get up and when you wake up in the morning, if you are already in a negative frame of mind, you thinking the worst about yourself when you wake up, that's why often it's so good to do affirmations or
Brilliant.
like meditation, mindfulness, because you put yourself in the right frame of mind. Whether you're feeling like that or not, it's like stop doing exercise in the morning or anytime, which who likes that? Not me anyway. But if I wake up and I'm like, oh, do I have to? And I just do something small, like just stretching or just one or two things, immediately I get into it. Like it just changes my mindset. And if I say, you're going to have a good day, I'm going to be happy and joyful, or whatever you say to yourself in the morning, you just get in your car and you're so powerful. I'm going to have a good day no matter what happens, no
Yeah.
matter how bad the situation is at work. I'm going to be able to handle it and deal with it. And I
Yeah.
mean, some days suck. We know that. We're not being unrealistic, but it's your attitude. And like, instead of going down that same, that same rabbit hole, or that where, yeah, everything is negative. No,
Yeah.
distance yourself, get away from
That's
that.
it.
You come with your attitude. How do you want the day to, uh, you know, start? Like, I've heard such a good thing, the start your day with an intention. How do you want this day to
Always.
go? And set the intention for the day. I'm going to have a great day no matter what.
Yep.
I'm going to give value to people today no matter what. I'm going to, whatever I do, whatever my job is, I'm going to serve people today. Do you know what an
Yeah.
awesome day you have? You just,
Yep.
no
And
matter
it's an
what
immediate.
happens, it's
It's like
amazing.
waking up with an immediate belief change. You're automatically setting that belief and tone and structure in your mind for what's in front of you. You're not just letting things happen to you. You're creating. That's getting you living at cause. You're creating it, because I know we touch on this a lot, but our beliefs determine our decisions, and our decisions determine our actions, and our actions determine our outcomes. So if you've got shitty beliefs, you're making shitty decisions that are leading to shitty actions, and your actions just give you a shitty outcome. Whereas if you're coming with a great intention, really good, strong beliefs, that's guiding your decision making into a positive, fantastic path. The actions you're taking are backing that up and justifying everything perfectly. Hence, you're creating your reality and creating a better day no matter what's in front of you. And there's your outcome. You have created that better day for yourself solely from that one starting point.
Yeah, it's so true. And look, even if you are doing a presentation and you are so nervous about it, or whatever you're doing at work where you have to put yourself out there, and you're just like, oh, this is gonna suck because I didn't get all the information. You're blaming, you're playing victim. How about just saying, look,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this presentation to the best of my ability, and whatever feedback I get, I'm going to take it on board, um, and see how much better you feel. And don't just think like this black and white thinking, like it's either this way or that way. No, there's life has grays,
Yeah.
and also we do what they call mind reading as well. So you're sitting there and maybe someone is looking serious while they're listening to your presentation, and you just think they hate it. You're
Yeah.
making up stories in your head,
Yeah.
you know and even if people give you feedback, you're like, no, they hate it. That one guy hated it. Like, we do that
Yeah.
so often. Like, often I've caught myself and like, people are saying, oh, it was good, we loved it, it was good. And the one guy said, oh, you've got this is something I would change or do this differently. And that's all you focus on.
Yeah.
And instead of taking that as, constructive criticism, you forgot about the 5-10 people who said it was great. I learned so much. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me that. No, you think about that one guy that said, I would have done this differently. Hey,
Always.
we just do that, and it messes up your day. It brings in that fear, it brings in that anxiety, when actually you should just be saying, yeah, thank you guys, thank you, I appreciate your feedback, and celebrating that no matter what, you got the message out, you reached. Like Adam is really good. He said something to me the other day, which I often forget. He's like, just reach one person with your message. Just, just whatever you're doing, if it impacts one person positively, you've done an amazing job. I love that, and I often forget that because I think, I want this to happen, I want that to happen. And actually, no, just give it your all. That's when you're living above the line. You give it your all, and you say, I take responsibility for what happens, and I'll improve if I need to. I'll tweak where I need to, but I'll also pat myself on the back because I did a good job. That's living above the line.
Just detach from the outcome. The outcome doesn't matter. Going through the process and doing what you're doing, that's the win. That's the achievement, especially if you're doing something that a lot of people don't do. Like if you're prepared to put yourself out there a bit more, whatever happens from that is irrelevant. Just the fact that you've taken a step, you've owned it, you're out there doing what you want to do, you've won. The game's over. You win. There is no loss there. So the external feedback doesn't really matter because it's the growth in yourself that makes all the difference. It's huge.
Yeah. And often, there are things that are so realistic. Say, for instance, you've got a target to hit and you don't hit that target. So, obviously, maybe your boss or the company will come down on you because you haven't reached your target. But instead of just looking at that end result, look at the ways in which you approached doing that job. Did you give it your all? Where can you improve? And what else do you need to do? And find models and people who are hitting their targets. What are they doing differently? Learn from others. Don't beat yourself up. Learn from others. And then tweak and change as you go along.
100%.
Because we do spiral down, but it's catching yourself, remembering like, hey, being aware, I'm spiraling down, I'm being negative, and yes, I might not have hit that target. But that's what a target is, right? It's set up there, almost unreachable, so that you can strive and aim for it.
Yeah, because as long as you're going for the target, if you miss it, doesn't matter. Because if you're not going for anything, you achievement zero. So if you hit 80% of that target, that's 80% more than you were achieving otherwise. Massive win, huge win. 80% on top of zero is monstrous.
Massive win, and celebrate, right? Yeah.
Always. Life's a celebration. Make it a party. Then you'll be above the line. Just be happy. We've got another question. We've got another question for you, Tessa, from Adam. He says, we all know what our mental health means to us, but I have a question for you, Tessa. We hear the word mindset. What comes to you and why?
Mindset. When I think about mindset, for me is really all about empowering. Like what am I thinking? What beliefs do I have? How am I moving myself forward? How am I being present with myself? That for me is all, because often we're in our heads, we're thinking things, and what the thoughts we think create our reality. Because we've got a lot of filters and we've got a lot of beliefs and we've got so much going on. So if we think I'm not good enough, so if my mindset is I'm not good enough, everything that I do, it's not going to be good enough, because I don't feel the effort that I make is going to ever be enough. And so for me, mindset is so important. It's so it's critical having I won't say just a positive mindset, but a mindset that is not rigid, a mindset that is not fixed, a mindset where there's an opportunity to grow, there's an opportunity to always change. If you read, some people feel like, oh, this is how they grew up and this is all that there is. They are quite rigid in their thinking, but life changes. Look at what happened with COVID. And I mean, Steve and I are both in Melbourne, so we've really had to change our mindsets and really think differently about not being able to go anywhere, celebrating birthdays at home, not being able to go to a restaurant, not being meeting up with friends and family. We've had to change our mindsets to say, okay, we are doing this for the greater good. We are doing this for our families. We're doing this for others so that we don't bring that disease home. We don't infect other people. We follow the rules, I guess. Well, that was my perspective. I'm feeling like so stuck. I feel like locked up. I feel like I can't see anyone. I can't even go to the beach because I'm just outside the 10 kilometers or whatever the limit is. But so I say, instead, I'm going to the park. My mindset is so important. It helps me find different ways. It changes and it's flexible and adaptable. And that's why I think it's so important that you don't have a fixed mindset. Your mindset should always adapt to the changes that happen and make them above the line changes or thinking, no matter how sucky the situation is, Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. The only way we're getting through this is by living at cause. That is the only way we're getting through this, because everything else, when you look at it, it was actually Isaac Newton that came up with this. It was a law defined by him that says for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So the law of cause and effect suggests that for any cause, there is a result. There is a result that occurs. So whatever, we're either going to be causing what we want to happen in our lives and creating the changes we want to see, or life is always going to be affecting our behaviours and what we see as the world for what it is and how it's going to encroach on us. And if we're at effect, that's what it is. That in COVID times, the government's ruining my life. The boss has ruined my life. My partner's ruining my life because I'm stuck at home with them too much. Everything's coming towards us. It's not us making the decisions. Whereas when we're at cause, we're being responsible for our outcomes. We're going, yes, we are in the world's longest lockdown ever. But we have the option to make the most of all these different scenarios rather than just going, right, I can't go here, I can't do there. If you can't go to work, well, there's never been a better time to learn something new then, has there? Grow, like Tessa was saying. You've got all this opportunity, unlimited, untapped time that we've never had before, because we're not going out to dinner, we're not going to the movies, we're not going to the kids' sport, we're not getting up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning to run them here, there and everywhere, because none of it's on. So all that's either dragging you down as a negative, or it's providing you, getting you out of that below the line, I don't have time, I don't have anything, to, no, I've got all the time in the world. I'm responsible for this. I can do whatever I like.
Yeah, it's so true. And like the one thing that I've loved seeing, like in our area and also I guess the greater Melbourne area, so many people have bought bicycles. And you
Yeah,
see these little families, moms and dads and the kids cycling or
yep,
walking as a family. Um, the shelves have been empty because all the baking goods have been bought. People are baking at home. People are cooking at home, whereas previously they just got out to eat.
yeah,
Hopefully, and I guess it depends on the situation that you're in. People are saving a little because they don't have to drive their cars so far or spend so much. Cars are parked. Our environment is thriving because the air is probably cleaner because we don't have so many cars on the road. What about the road rage? When last have you heard about a road rage incident? Because
yeah.
we're not on the roads.
No, it
Um,
takes me half the time to get to and from work at the moment. It's fantastic.
yeah, and people have found so creative ways and working from home and being at home when your family's yeah, and it's not always easy, and homeschooling is not always easy. But like for me, because I've looked at it like, what can I take from this? I'm more involved in my daughter's work because now I can see what she's doing. Because usually she just come home and say, I say, how was your day? Fine. What did you learn at school? Nothing.
Yeah, it's
Now,
not.
those simple answers. And now it's just like, I'd say, oh, that looks interesting. What's that about? And then she explained. So even though there's frustrations and even though it hasn't been good for a lot of people, a lot of people's mental health has suffered being stuck, isolated, alone. I think more people are reaching out to their neighbors and saying, how are you? Actually getting to know your neighbor, because now um, that's the space that you can only go around. So you start greeting people when you're going for your walk because you recognize them every day because it's the same people.
Yeah, yep, I love
So
that.
it's just how you think about things. It's like this change your perspective,
Yep,
and you'll definitely appreciate something different. Or yeah, I mean, that's what I've done. Yeah, you can be binging on Netflix, but have limits as well. Try different things.
yeah. What you perceive, what you receive. So, however you're looking at this situation is what's gonna come back on you, and it's what you're
Exactly.
putting out as well. So, if it's all doom and gloom, you're getting more of that. I'm sorry, I hate to tell you, but it's unavoidable. You are just going to keep piling that more and more on top of yourself. You're going to be pushing all that weight's going to be pushing you further and further below the line. Whereas if your perception is, I can make the most of every situation, like this is coming back to our beliefs again. Flip your beliefs around. So yeah, I can make the most of this. I'm going to come out of this better than I was. I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to be fitter. I'm going to be stronger. I am built for this. This was made for me. I love this time in my life because I'm going to make so much positive change. It's totally different, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, I can't make money in these times. I can't go to work. I can't go here. Like, can't's a load of bullshit. It really is. Like, you can do anything you want within reason if it's ecological, if it's good for you, good for your family, good for your friends, good for the planet, then you can do it. 100% all of the time you can do it. And the only reason you're not is you. It's your excuses and what you're wanting to not do, not put. Sometimes it's just as simple as not wanting to be bothered putting in the work to make the change. It all starts
yeah.
with us at some point in time.
So true, so true. And I loved what you said. you get more of what you put out there. And you can decide what you put out there. So even if you're not feeling it, just go with it. Say, today I want to feel joy, and then or whatever, and see and make an effort to see joy in little things, like, and you'll start seeing more and more. It becomes like a funny game, like, and it lifts you up. If
Yeah.
you want to just see negativity, blame, darkness, go ahead. You'll get more of that. And it will just be everything sucks. And then you'll just attract more everything sucks to you. Everything will go wrong. But if you just say, oh, I'm going to feel joy today, I'm going to feel happy, I'm going to just appreciate everything. And it sounds corny, but it works, because it's almost like we said, you get what you give in life. If you're giving joy, you're going to get more joy, you're going to see more joy.
All the
Like, you'll
time.
start seeing the flowers on your walk to the park. You'll see interesting things. Oh, look at that dog, that's a funny interesting dog. Look at I love those kids, look at what they're doing. You'll start seeing more and more just fun, nice things. I find,
Your
that
subconscious will
happens.
take over. It'll automatically find it because that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, you're right. It's like we said last week, when you're buying that red BMW with a whatever car you're buying, your subconscious starts. That's what you'll then start seeing all the time. So if you're saying, I want to be happy today, I want to feel happy, I want to feel joy, and I'm going to attract that. I want to look, and then you just start walking and say, I want to see beautiful flowers today. Oh, there's a beautiful flower. And you'll start seeing more and more, because it'll bring it into your space. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
So right.
Oh, and Melissa's just joined us. She says, hello, Steve and Tessa. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
And then we've got Adam saying, right, I'm going to say this. I'm going through court proceedings fighting for my daughter, and for years I relied on the word hope. And guess what? I lost. So then I transformed the word hope to believe. And when I accepted and chose to believe, I have taken it further to what I expected. So I think where Adam's going there is that having a bit more belief in what he's doing and how he's going about it, he has gone above and beyond where he ever thought he would be able to take that to. That's how I've read that. Let me know if I'm wrong, Adam, but I think we're turning that into a positive. I'm not totally certain, but that's how I'm feeling it, and that's what I'm putting out there. Because the more we give you that positivity around it, I think the result's going to be turning in your favour at some stage.
And if you believe that that's what's going to happen, you are going to do more things. You're going to try different things, because you're believing that this process is going to work out. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if we fail initially. How long did Thomas Edison take to find what did he do? The light?
Yeah, he had about 1,000 shots at it. That's all right.
He had so many failures, and he didn't give up. And I think that we give up so quickly. We don't push through, and I know it's hard. I mean, I'm guilty of it. And then, but the thing that I do is I'll like, oh, this sucks, and and then I'll give myself a day or two, and then like, okay, Tessa, let's try again. We are not going to stay in that space of giving up. We'll just try again. Let's see a different way of thinking. And I think that's what you say when you have belief that things are going to work out, Adam. And I hope we're getting this right, because you're going to try different avenues. You're going to look for different opportunities, and because you're putting that out there, opportunities and ways of doing things will come your way. I strongly believe in that. And nothing is a quick process. Nothing is a quick fix,
No.
And even when you believe, sometimes it can take years for things to happen, but it happens. Especially if it's a positive and an uplifting belief, you have to connect strongly to the things that you want and really single-mindedly focus on that. And that's what it is, also staying above the line. What you focus on is what you're going to get. So if you're focusing on blame, shame, guilt, you're going to get more of that, because that's all your thoughts are going to. That's where it's staying. But if you focus on things are going to work out, it's not easy right now, but slowly, if you see the changes and you like, if you embrace them, you'll be given more. I strongly believe that when you start recognizing and being thankful and grateful, there's so much research
Gratitude's
around
huge.
gratitude, hey? So much
Massive.
research around gratitude and giving to others and being generous. It just comes back. I mean, it's an old saying. It's in most of the religions. You give what you receive. Ask
Yep.
and you'll be given. It's part of the law of attraction if you're not into religion, but it's also in most religions. So there is something to that. If you focus on the desire that you have, or the want, if your thinking is clear, and like Steve said, good for you, good for others, good for the greater good. If you connect
Can't
with
go
that,
wrong.
it's going to come back to you. So strongly
Definitely.
believe in that. Yeah.
And then Adam's coming. Yeah, Adam said, "Yep, the day we fail is the day we stop trying." And he's been fighting 6 years, and he does believe that they're getting somewhere, and he's much happier. So there we go. The belief is starting to turn for the good. And Melissa
Awesome,
said,
Adam.
"Yeah,
Admirable.
he's on the right. He's on the right path now. He's kicking goals." And Melissa said that she's found that when she's let go of what she no longer needs, she starts finding things coming in that she's wanted, or finds she's fully supported by what she receives, big or small. Yeah. And she said, I'm
I
sure you've both got
love
similar
that.
experiences. Oh, 100%, 100%.
100%. I've
You've
just
only got
started
so much
moving.
space.
Hey?
You've only got
You
so much
only
space. So you've got to let go of that crap that's not serving you and isn't doing any good, to create the room there so that all that good stuff can come to you. It's got to happen.
Yeah. Steve, I've been lately, for a while now, playing really around this thing about surrendering, and when things, and trying to be in alignment. Like, we know when things are heavy, when we're playing the victim, it's always heavy, it's kind of dark, it's
Yeah.
miserable, and there's no alignment, and there's no there's always judgment, there's fear, there's all those negative words. And then when we, like Melissa was saying, when we let go, we can let go of the crap, we can trust, because trust is an above the line thing. When you trust that things are going to work out for your good, for the greater good of others. And that's the thing, we should always be looking at not only ourselves, because we don't just live for ourselves. Yeah, we empower ourselves, but when we serve others, things come to us so quickly. So I've really been looking at this word surrender and alignment. And when things feel hard, I question it. Is it because I am afraid, or I'm playing below the line, or is it out of alignment? And those are things that are good to ask ourselves, because when things are out of alignment, we find that we are rowing upstream and we're not
Yeah.
going with the flow. We're not letting go. And so that's what I do when I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on here? Am I just afraid? Am I fearful? I really go inside, and that's why it's so important to work on yourself so that you can trust that intuition, or that something that says, actually, it's not fear. It's not that you don't want to try. It's not laziness. You just, this is maybe not for you at this time. And you trust that something better will come along. And you work towards, I'm not saying don't do action, don't do the work. You do the work, but you do the aligned work that really feels like it's in sync with yourself.
Crucial. It's crucial, isn't it? Like, how else are you going to build on your subconscious muscle? Like, you've got to keep taking this aligned action, because 95% of our decisions are coming from our subconscious. So you need to be making sure that's operating at an optimal avenue for you to achieve success. Otherwise, we just get caught in that stuff where, I mean, what do they say? 60% of our thoughts we have today are the same as yesterday, because we're only able to absorb so much information. So you can imagine if you've got this really crappy soundtrack playing in your back of your mind about how rubbish everything is, and you thought that yesterday, you're getting it today, you're getting it tomorrow, you're getting it next week, next month, next year. Whereas if you've got your subconscious geared to positive thoughts, and then you can see the compounding effect of the same 60% every single day, what a polar, it's 180 degrees difference. So just being so wary of those thoughts and being in alignment is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
And it's okay, catch yourself, don't be hard on yourself when you find, oh my God, I've been thinking negative thoughts. Say, catch yourself and just change the thought, thought. It takes time, and it's not automatic. We don't all jump out of bed and say, sing hallelujah or whatever, you want to, that would be absolutely awesome, but we don't, like, oh, do I have to go to work? But then you say, I'm going to work to serve others, to feed my family, and I'm going to do that in a good mood, because I can do it anyway, right?
That's it. May as well make the most of it.
Make the most of it, and things will start changing.
And I say, and when you're living at cause and above the line, people like Adam that throw nasty comments at you they just out straight off.
It just bounces off
when
you.
He's calling me Granddad Steve. Surprise Granddad Steve, talking NLP from the Mental Health Warriors, proud of him. So he tries to make it loving at the end, but that's all right. Oh God, now we've got, we're almost done an hour, and now we've got, we'll quickly go through 3 more questions. I'll hit Adam's one first. He said, but on a serious note, will Tessa be willing to come on another podcast with another warrior, maybe possibly interview someone?
I love the way you asked me this.
Yeah, but maybe let her know what it's all about.
I'm here to serve, Adam.
There you go. That's a highly probable yes, depending on conditions.
Yeah. And boundaries, putting my boundaries in place.
Yes.
Like, be clear about what you need. It's all the internal. I'm not people pleasing just because we're on the show and saying, yes, Adam, I'll do it with it. And then afterwards I'm like, why did I say yes? No, we are clear. We put boundaries in place. We move forward, and we do it joyfully, right? We do it with love. What's Melissa saying?
Melissa's got, Tessa and Steve, how do you change your mindset when you realize you're not aligned or in fear? What do you do?
And how do you know or feel when you don't trust yourself? Yeah, Melissa, there's definitely some limiting beliefs there, because I'm sure if we could chat to you, we would pull out so many places that you have trusted yourself, that you've got so much buckets and buckets of evidence that you can trust yourself any day, anytime. But the fear at the back, there's some limiting beliefs that's saying, don't trust yourself. The self-critic is talking and saying, don't trust yourself.
Yeah. And I think for changing mindset when you realize you're not aligned, that comes back for me right back to what I said near the start of being totally present and being right in the moment now. That's the only time I can have proper clear clarity to go, I think it's an internal feel as much as anything. I think you feel that you're out of alignment rather than know you're out of alignment. Your body will tell you when you're not doing something coherently with where you want to be, what you want to do, and how you want to do it. So I find for me, when I get those feelings, I slot right into the present, and then I can make a judgment call on what's going to be the best way for me to move forward in the best possible outcome for myself, others, and everybody else. It's probably the most simplistic way I could answer it.
Yeah. You know, Melissa, I completely hear you. And I'm about a test and research person. So I go with the process that I'm not sure with, and then really like feel into it. And you immediately know this is not for you, or it's not quite right. And then you tweak it and you change it. But definitely when you're in fear, it's really questioning the fear as well. Is it a fear? Is it the fear of failing? And it's not there's no evidence, or it's not true? Or is it something telling you that this is actually not for you? It's not really aligned to you. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to row my boat downstream, just go with the flow, but in an actioned way. Like really, really listen to myself and say, is this for me? Is it fun? Like, is it simple? Is it bringing me joy, or is it hard work? And I'm not saying don't take action, don't do the hard work, but is it slogging day after day where you know when you're in a job and it's just not for you, or you're doing something and it's just not for you? It's like, this isn't right. There's so many things that are indicating that this isn't for me, this isn't aligned with me, and I'm doing it for various reasons, and they're not the right reasons. But it's really going like inside, and that's work that I've done, because I've felt the same. I've tried different things, moving, and seeing what really fits. Where do I feel my most joy? Where am I happy? Like, where am I having fun? Like with Steve, this was just so aligned. It's like, it's what I love talking about. And it's so
100%.
easy to jump on a Tuesday and be here. Like, it's fun, and I feel I'm serving. I feel like, and so that I know is completely aligned with me. Because if I'm serving one person, I'm doing a fantastic job. There's no fear.
That's all it takes.
How I've looked at things, right? Just where am I? I'm still putting myself out there. I'm not letting just cutting myself off and saying, oh, I'm not doing anything because I'm holding myself back into fear. No, was I aligned with what I was doing before? And maybe those are some of the questions, really digging deep. But looking at those limiting beliefs and changing your story, that's such a powerful thing. I gave an example last week about a money limiting belief that I have, and how I'm slowly changing the story. And initially you don't believe it, because you remember you've had years and years and years of these limiting beliefs. But the more you tell the new story to yourself, you change that belief, your neural pathways are changing, you're making that change, and it's feeling so much more aligned. I hope that kind of answered your question, Melissa.
Brilliant.
I saw something where Adam was saying he has no boundaries.
Well, yeah, no, doesn't know what a boundary is. That man could never be fenced into the paddy. And before we go, a little bit of housekeeping. Coming up at 8 p.m. UK time tonight, we've got episode 2 of the amazing Dale Walsh's Straight, Sane and Sober show. So that'll be awesome to catch up with. And I've also got, for myself, tomorrow night for the Power Hour of Mindfulness, I'll be on an hour later tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Australian time with an absolutely awesome guest who I've already interviewed on here once before, the lovely Camille from South Carolina. She is absolutely magic. So I guarantee she will be bringing some awesome gold tomorrow night. So I can't wait for that. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching us, joining us, commenting. We appreciate it. Tessa, amazing again. The most abundant amount of information. You carry me like nothing else. I'm very, very privileged and grateful.
I feel so aligned to you, Steve. It's completely a pleasure and so much fun. We have this passion for mental health and, just helping people change their thinking, change their beliefs, because we know how far we've come because we've done the work. And so I'm so happy to presenting this with you, and always.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So we will, as another reminder, we'll obviously be back at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time next Tuesday night. They'll give you, we'll hold off on what that one's going to be about. You'll be a surprise for anyone that tunes in, but it's going to be flowing on with our beliefs and above the line and cause and effect. It's all going to be the same stuff. Whatever can empower you is what we're bringing every single week. So Thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Tessa.
Thank you.
Everyone have an awesome day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world, and we will see you all soon. Bye.